Yes, my friend. What can I do for you?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of your videos. I've been watching them for quite a while.
Appreciate it.
Can you hear me, by the way?
I can hear you. Yes. You can hear me?
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Sure.
So you asked me whether I'm Muslim or Christian. I'd say I'm more agnostic than anything. But I am quite curious about all different types of religions and faiths. And I think that
Sure.
one thing that interests me about Islam specifically is obviously I guess the evidences that many people put forward, such as the scientific and so on. So
Okay.
my specific question, I guess, would be regarding evolution.
Okay.
And I bring that point specifically because I watched a video the other
Uh-huh.
day about this topic, which was quite interesting. So I guess my question is, what's your stance on evolution, macroevolution or microevolution? And if we have fossil records to show that there are humans that lived 3 million years ago, who are different to us in many ways, then how can one or all major Abrahamic religions posit that there are humans or the first human was very much similar to us when we know that early humans were much different to us?
Well, yeah, I don't want to have an evolution debate, to be honest. I'd rather leave that for other brothers. For instance, people are welcome to watch Sabur. He has got many debates on the topic. Sabur Ahmed has got many debates on the topic of evolution. If you ask about my stance when it comes to evolution, I have a full monologue. I just call it monologue. I just have a 2-hour presentation where I talk about evolution on my channel, where I dismantle everything you just said. There's no such thing as that there was other humans that were very different from ourselves. Fossil record is heavily fabricated because of these people who want to prove evolution under any cost. It's heavily fabricated. And the skulls that we find, which changes every year, so they'll teach you in medical textbooks that 300,000 years is the oldest human beings or whatever. Then now we discovered like the oldest skull is like, I don't know, 6 to 7 million years ago or something. Very recently, they could have discovered something after. This is the recent thing that I've seen. They keep changing it every time. And I demonstrated that with, by the way, articles. And when I say articles from Nature, from Science magazine, I'm not bringing Muslim articles here. I'm bringing non-Muslims, people who are believing in evolution themselves. They're telling you how they fabricate these fossils, how these fossils are not in any way, shape, or form. What you're saying is that there is not a single full fossil of a transitional creature or of a being that looks different than human beings millions of years ago. There's not a single one. So this
Okay.
idea is just what lay people think, who, with all due respect to anyone and everyone, I don't know about you, but it's usually people who are not educated. They've not done the research. They've not looked at these fossils. They've not looked at the fabrications that happened throughout human history. A basic example is Lucy. Lucy, they said, is a whole fossil. They brought bones from baboons and different things, and they put them together, and they're like, that's a transitional creature. No, that's not a transitional creature. That's you just bringing different fossils of different things, trying to present a case. So in the end, to even like completely close this argument, science is something that is changing, that is based on the scientific method, which is to look at things, natural things, so physical natural things that are made from atoms or matter or whatever. You observe them, the things that you can put under a microscope. So you do experimentation, repeatability, and falsification. That is a scientific method. So it's the study of the natural world through experimentation, repeatability, and falsification. That's the definition of the scientific method, which, by the way, was developed by a Muslim. It's called Hassan ibn Haytham. He's the one who modernized it and developed the way we're using it today in his book, Optics. We have no issues with the scientific method. But to talk about things which happened thousands of years ago, that's not science. That's philosophy. So what a lot of people don't know is that the theory of evolution is not based on real science. It's based on assumptions and philosophy, where they keep telling you, oh, they were doing this. They moved from this river to that river, and they were eating this, and they were behaving that way. There is no physical, natural evidence for any of that. These are all assumptions. And that's why it keeps changing. So they have a narrative, and they keep changing the narrative when they find new evidence. Not that the evidence, they will reinterpret the evidence to fit the narrative of what they already believe in. That's why you have Darwinism, neo-Darwinism. You have, so do you know how many changes it keeps changing? Every other day, there is a new name for the theory of evolution. And the reason
Yeah.
is simple, is because they discover things that are opposite to the theory. And sooner or later, they have to, you'll have a big group of scientists that will just leave that. And they will come up with a new branch. third way evolution, genetic evolution, this evolution, that they will just keep doing that because it's not standing. The more time passes and the more you investigate evidences. That's my position. And like I said, in that 2-hour talk, I go thoroughly through evolution, like the principles of evolution, the most important things of evolution. And I critique it not only scientifically, but I also do it philosophically. So I completely reject it as a bunch of mostly nonsense. Of course, there's things which are accurate. And you have to mix truth with falsehood. Nobody comes to you with just nonsense. They have to mix truth with falsehood. But it's certainly not what they are portraying it to be.
I see. Okay, well, I'll have to watch that video. And I do agree with your point about falsifying historical evidence. I mean, with anthropology, they use that to basically justify slavery. So I do understand
Evolution
that.
is not falsifiable, by the way. Evolution is not falsifiable. That's why it's not science. Why? What do I mean it's not falsifiable? Whichever evidence comes against the current theory, they change the theory to fit that narrative, which would mean it's not falsifiable. So first, they believed, I'll give a basic example. First, they believed in gradualism, that the evolution has to happen on a gradual process. Darwin believed in that, and his book, Origin of Species, in chapter 6, he mentions the problem, the possible problems that can come up with his theory. And he says that gradualism is necessary. And he talks about in his books as well, about the problems that he finds with the fact that there are these fossils that are very advanced in their evolutionary state, but they're very old. And it's supposed to be the deeper you go in the earth, the less advanced these creatures will be. So, and there's many, many examples, like they show ants and they show other fossils of these things that are very, very, very old, but they are very, very advanced. So there's something called the Cambrian explosion. Then they came up with something, what do they do now? Okay, they have a problem. Gradualism is having an issue. The evidence is showing that gradualism is not necessarily true. So what do we do now? We say that, oh, you know what? There is like a pattern, or there is this or that. Okay, some beings, they evolve quickly and some beings don't evolve quickly. So what they do is they change the whole dynamic of that essential thing that was in the theory and to fit the new evidence, right?
I see.
So that is not science. Why? Because you cannot falsify that. The more evidences that come that are against your theory, the more you will change your theory to fit the evidence. And the reason you do that is because you already believe in the theory. How science is done is you discover evidence and then you build a conclusion based on the evidence. You don't already have a conclusion and you change the conclusion when you find evidence against what you believe. So science is, and this is one of the philosophical, let's say, problems that I mentioned with the theory of evolution. It's not falsifiable, and therefore it's not science to begin with. Okay, it's just people who believe in something and they try their best to find an excuse for it. And anyone who wants a demonstration of that, just look at science. Go from the start of the theory and just look down the years. They will tell you this is science. No, that's not science. Yes, science is changing, but it changes based on the evidence. On the other hand, you don't change based on the evidence. You try to fit the evidence into a narrative you already accept and believe is true, which is the evolution is a fact. That's how they're viewing it, right? So that's not the same. But yeah, that's my position in a nutshell. I don't want to give another 2-hour monologue. I don't want to bother the people, because most people are watching. People don't study these things on a scientific point, proper scientific, even on a, let's say, on a surface level. Most people don't even do that. I'm not a scientist, but I know enough to know that this is a bunch of nonsense. So most people don't do that. So when I start going into the deep nitty-gritties of these things, most people get lost. A lot of people are sheep. They just follow wherever people tell them to go. So yeah, that's my position on it in a nutshell.
I see. So if I'm understanding you correctly, it's sort of a sunk cost fallacy that they've just invested so much time, effort, and resources into this theory that they can't go back on it because of the time they've invested. I see.
Thomas Kuhn talks about that, by the way. So Thomas Kuhn, in his book Paradigm Shift, his book is about paradigm shift, major changes in science, like Newton and Einstein's theory of physics. It was not easy for them to move from one to the other, especially that one of them works kind of in theory and application, but still wrong. So it was not easy for the scientific community to have these paradigm shifts. And Thomas Kuhn says that. And then you have a person getting a Nobel Prize, and then in a point of history, you have a huge paradigm shift where they leave something completely and move to a complete different thing. So it's not easy for scientific community to do that because most of them are already, they're already accepted that as an assumption that it is true and it's a fact and whatever. And many people, by the way, there's a documentary. This is the last thing I'm going to mention because I said I don't want to go on a monologue. There's a documentary mentioned. It's called The Expelled, where they show you how many people were kicked out of their jobs because they question evolution or they mention God in their articles or any of that. So it's not only that they're used to it, so they don't want to know, but there is an academic pressure that whoever goes against evolution is going to be excommunicated from teaching, excommunicated from the scientific community, whatever. And we're talking about the Western scientific community. Because there's many scientists who don't believe in evolution. But they will just say, oh, these are creationists. They are stupid people who, they will just, even though they will use their own arguments, but they will still brush them under the carpet like they're people who they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
But most importantly, you say you're an agnostic. So let's talk about the nitty-gritty of important things, right? Do you believe in a creator? Do you believe in something that created the world? Do you believe in something that brought the universe into existence?
That's a difficult question. To be very honest, I think for most of my life, I think I would say yes, but I'd say I'm not sure. If you were to ask me that question today, I'd say I'm not sure.
You're not sure if you believe in something that created the world or a higher power, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Can something come from nothing? Absolute nothingness.
Sorry?
Can something come from absolute nothing?
Can something come from absolute nothing?
No energy, no matter, no space, no existence, nothing.
If we're going by the laws of physics in our universe, then no.
If we're going by common sense, 0 plus 0 will always equal 0. If we're going by anything, you cannot have something that comes from absolute nothingness because there is nothing there to start anything. There's no agency, there's no being, there's nothing. So according to, obviously, you agree with this, the overwhelming majority of or let's say the consensus, scientific consensus today about the universe's beginning, you want to refer to it as the Big Bang or whatever. So we know this universe that has a starting point, that we agree on having a starting point. Can it come from nothing?
There's a non-zero chance that it could.
Okay, so you just contradicted what we just said. So a minute ago, you just paused it, not according to science and scientific laws, which is true.
Yeah,
not only scientific laws, but rational laws. You cannot have something from nothing. And then a minute later, you said, yes, we can have scientifically. No, that's not true. Because no scientist, it's okay, it's all right. I'm not putting you on the spot. There is no scientist today that says that, by the way. There's no scientist today that says the universe came from absolute nothingness.
Sure.
Because they can't. Because every effect requires a cause. The Big Bang requires, by definition, something that causes it. It's energy and matter. It's not rational beings that can behave on their own. They require something outside of themselves to compress them into an energy, to expand them, for us to have the universe that we have. And the universe that we have itself, it displays the attributes of the creator. It displays the level of knowledge that we can never even comprehend. Within the laws of the universe, it displays the power, because the universe is made of atoms that have magnificent amounts of energy we cannot even comprehend. So the universe already displays that by necessity, there must, whatever caused it or whatever brought it into existence, must be what we refer to as a higher power, God, whatever term you want to use. So it's not even a question of maybe yes or no. It's a fact that there has to be something that brought the universe into existence.
Sure. That makes sense. And I think, so the reason for the contradiction that I made there was my initial point of the laws of physics within our universe, meaning or saying that something cannot come from nothing. And the reason that there was a contradiction there is we're basing that assumption on our universe and the laws that we have. But what if our universe came from something else that doesn't abide by the same laws of our universe?
It doesn't change the fact that, because that's not an argument, because we are questioning our universe, which our laws applies to. And it is true, whatever created the universe is not the laws that we have doesn't apply to that creator the same way. So we are in agreement there anyways. But we're now, what we're questioning is our universe, which has our laws applied, because it's made of atom and energy and all of that. So we're saying that beginning of this atom and energy cannot come from nothing due to the fact that it operates under these laws. So whatever created it, though, definitely does not operate under the same laws that we operate, because it created it. So that means it's way more transcendent, if you want to use that term, when it comes to these laws. And that is what we believe in anyways. So that's just also another point that supports our position. So
Okay.
what I would recommend then is that you do some research about Islam, like the evidences of Islam coming from God and all of that. And there's like a lecture on my channel called Compelling Evidences for the Truthfulness of Islam. I'd recommend you watch that. Yeah, and it was a pleasure talking to you, unless you have any other questions. I don't think you do, right? So
Thank
I
you.
will move to the next person. No problem. It's a pleasure talking to you.
يا دعاة رب السماء يا من صنعتم في الأرض نورا يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرور